Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. We're gonna look at this clip. This is obviously the full episode, it's an hour long, but we're not gonna watch the whole thing. We're gonna look at this clip from a show on BBC, show in the UK called Question Time. I've never heard of this. I don't know who any of these people are. I just, I thought this was interesting. I saw someone else reacting to this, and I thought, maybe I had something a little different to say. So we're going to look at this.
And the reason why this is such an important question is because, as Kelly said, this is a discussion that is not just about the situation of prisons or rape crisis centres, which are very important.
Just before we get started, I've personally never heard of a rape crisis center. I don't necessarily know what that entails or if we have that in the US. Yeah, but I can definitely see how, given the name, it would be a female-only space.
Places that are sex-based for a reason. And there's it's remarkable to me that politicians in this country, in Scotland and Wales and in England, seem to have given up on the, belief in reality that sex is real and that it's irrefutable and that
I agree with that. Let me elaborate. Sex is different from gender. As the basics of the idea of being transgender in the first place. Your sex is different from your gender. Male and female are sexes, man and woman are genders. Gender is a social construct. Just to kind of lay out terminology here, because again, I've been talking a lot about terminology.
Okay. It's really important because this isn't just about those kind of very intense places like a prison or like a rape crisis centre where it is vital that you can beg the question, why can't men budge up and let someone into solitary confinement?
And here we go. They're going to argue over terminology because the redhead lady said men. This blonde woman here, this is a trans woman. I don't know anything about this woman. I believe they said that she's a journalist, and I remember them saying that her name is India. Okay.
But the point is, if politicians and a government cannot deal in reality and in truth and deal with facts that are based on the things that we all understand, then why would you have any belief in anything they say? Why would you have any belief in the justice system? Because for the kind of group that we haven't mentioned so far is women, and it's women who are being made to pay for it.
Yeah, that there's a reason that people are talking about trans women and not trans men, okay? And it's because males, as in males, you know what a male is, males in female spaces pose a much greater threat to females than females in male spaces. Just keeping with the basis of sex separation, because that's really what the issue is here. The question that they've been talking about for, I think they talk about this for a good probably a good 20 minutes. Should safeguarding for women's only spaces be reviewed? Again, terminology. What we're really saying is female-only spaces. I'm not going to explain the terminology again. You get what I'm saying. Okay? That's that's not a very good explanation, is it? I just feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, and I'm trying very hard not to.
I will come out. There's lots of times I'll come to you, India. I know you want to come back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
I'm sorry, it's not trans people who are going around attacking women either.
That's not what we're saying. Or that's not what I'm saying. I am not saying that trans women are predatory. And India even acknowledges here in a minute that there are a subset of trans women who will offend. Okay, that's not even that. I mean, that would be an issue, but I've looked over this episode, and apparently there's, or at least in the UK from what I've gathered, they have a panel in place that assesses someone who wishes to change prisons like this. I don't know if we have that in the US. I haven't looked that far into it. I didn't really know how that process worked in the first place. If anyone has any information on that, I would love to hear about it. What we're saying is that there are people who will lie to get something that they want. And the fact that woman can mean anything, just saying that you feel like you're a woman gives you access to female spaces. That is dangerous. That is inherently dangerous. It's a good thing that, over there at least they have a panel. I hope we have some type of process like that over here. We're going to look at a little bit after we look at this clip here. But all we're saying is that you can't come in just because you say you're a woman. Like I don't even know how to elaborate on that. This is so simple once you use consistent terminology. And I feel like I sound like I'm maybe holier than thou and trying to make stuff up, or at least, dictate terminology the same way everyone else seems to be. But my intention is to create a middle ground. I do believe trans people. I believe in trans people. They're not mythical fairies. And Asia even makes, India even makes the point here that, transgender people have existed across cultures for always, and I fully acknowledge that. I'm not saying trans people don't exist, because I definitely think that they do. The problem is sex separation versus gender separation. And there are certain places that need to be separated by sex for safety reasons.
In life or in prisons, it's predatory men. The biggest offenders within prisons are actually
Well, do you think
the
Adam Graham's
guards.
a man?
It is predatory men. Predatory men. Who can lie very easily and be given the chance to be predatory. That's what we're saying. And we're being ignored.
Now, I'll answer your question. This person, I'm not going to call them that, because that's not the name that they go by now. We live in a civilized society.
So what they're talking about here is they were discussing a case of a person who had been living as a man, was born a male person who had lived as a man their entire life, who raped 2 women and then started identifying as a woman and wanted to be put in female prisons based on their gender identity. And it was apparently a huge case. I personally did not hear about it, but legislation was passed as a result, from what I've heard, from what I understand.
And just as
we're talking about a rapist.
well,
I mean, I don't know how
yeah,
they fit into a civilized
I know
society.
you're desperate to drag this into the gutter, but I'm not going to go there. If there is a gay sex offender or a gay predator, we don't suddenly become homophobic. If there's a black
Because
rapist,
they
we
don't
don't
pretend they're
suddenly
something
become
they're not.
rapists. Well, what do you mean by they're pretending they're something they're not?
If there
they
is,
could be
I think
And this is, I'm going to gather from this that this woman on the screen is more of a conservative, just based on that statement. Again, I do believe that trans people exist, okay? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
A genuine trans person who's born that way, who's had no choice.
I think
you're making it sound like a lifestyle, something that they've opted to do. You don't know. You're presuming.
Kelly, if I just really quickly, Kelly made the point that she's very liberal-minded, and I think most of us are like that. You know, the vast majority of people, save a few bad apples, are generally of the, you know, mindset of live and let live. You know, love who you want to love, dress how you want to dress, call yourself what you want to call yourself.
Sorry.
And
Okay, maybe I'll take that back, just because it may be a terminology issue. She may have been meaning that they were pretending to be female when they were actually male, instead of they're pretending to be a woman when they're actually a man. Again, separating sex from gender.
And, you know, that's, you know, you kind of have to bend over backwards apologising as a woman and do all that whole kind of spiel before you get to say what you want to say. But generally, people are liberal-minded. What we won't accept is to be forced to say things that we know aren't true, that sex is irrefutable, and that men can turn into women by stating it after 3 months.
She talks about sex being irrefutable and then uses gender terms.
I tell you what, if I must go to India, of course I will let you back in. I just want to, the First Minister herself was saying today that she thinks Isla Bryson is probably faking it.
Isla Bryson was the rapist that they were talking about.
That's her view.
Yes.
And do you share that?
And it's a possibility. I'm saying I don't know. Nobody in this audience actually knows what that is. The people who do know or will make that judgment are the people that are actually talking to are involved in this case. But this notion, and this is the gutter that I really want to avoid, you know, this chip away at trans people generally. We started this question talking about one bad apple.
I have not chipped away at transgender people.
And it's then been expanded into the fact that trans people aren't real, they're pretending. Well,
I never said that either.
That's not the case. Trans people have existed in all cultures, around the world, all times.
Come on, India.
It's a real thing. No,
you talked about misinformation, and now you're willfully misrepresenting what I said.
You're the one trying to drag it down. We are a tiny population.
I think anyone
we
that's
are not
seen
a threat.
your Twitter account, India, will know a lot about gutter
puffing
discussion.
us up into this.
Well, I tell you what we want to do, and I'm not suggesting anything but what either of you are saying, but what we want to do is have a civilised and polite conversation about it, don't we? So let's have that. Yes, the woman here.
Transgender people and gay people are not paedophiles. There are certain percent who might be, but with this conversation, we don't put them in a male prison, we don't put them in a female prison. Is it time that we actually say, you have your own prison to go to?
I appreciate this woman trying to do the middle ground, and I just want to listen to India's response real quick.
No, because we're still men and women.
I agree with you, but I'm asking the question,
species.
is it not time that maybe somebody has that conversation?
OK,
No.
let me...
No, flat out no. Not even willing to consider the possibility that the big bad cishet man that we're all hiding from in female spaces could pose as LGBT to hurt females, not even willing to stop and consider it's all gender ideology. And India even says, because we're men and women, when again, we're not talking about gender, separation of genders, we're talking about separation of the sexes. So that's this bit. We're going to look at something else real quick. Okay, so this is CBS News, CBS New York. Oh God. Not going to let me view the page. Okay, so we're just going to look at this real quick. Even after warnings and complaints, the victim said corrections officers failed to remove the alleged perpetrator from female housing, despite allegedly propositioning the victim sexually and groping her in the shower. Days later, the victim claimed she was sexually assaulted in her sleep by the perpetrator. Okay, so this is in the US. This is Rikers Island in New York. And there's a video here. We're not going to look at that right now. So the victim claims that his introduction was, I'm not transgender, I'm straight, I like women. I just want to bring this up because this is happening here. This is what we're talking about. Okay? This is the problem. And I want to talk about Planet Fitness in a future video. I'm still kind of putting that together. Sorry, my videos are few and far between. I work. But I can't really talk about this without kind of talking for the other side. This is another article. Oh God. So you can see the title here, trans women are still incarcerated with men and it's putting their lives at risk. I believe that. I fully believe that. But if you can believe that trans women are being put at risk by being incarcerated with violent males, why can't you believe that a violent male in a female-only space will put females at risk? Keeping in the context of everything that I've spoken about, everything that I've spoken about so far in this video, as far as separation of sex and gender. And again, I agree with the woman at the end of this video, who asked the question about trans women being women, but do you think that they should have a separate space from females, is basically what she was asking. And India here flat out said no, absolutely not. Even given what we're starting to see. Just as a follow-up, Isla Bryson, the trans woman that they were talking about in the video, was moved to a men's prison. And for context, Isla Bryson was put in a women's prison awaiting trial and also awaiting evaluation. She was put in a separate place. She was in the female prison, but she was not in with female inmates. Okay? And it was decided that she would not serve out her rape sentence in female prison. So that's basically going to be the end of the video. I want to say thank you so much to everyone that's subscribed recently. I went from, I think, 52 subs at the beginning of this year, and last I checked I was at 105. Just from my last 4 videos. So, thank you. If you've noticed that there's a little bit more in this video, it's because I want to share a conspiracy theory with you. Everyone who's not interested is clicked off at this point, but if you're interested in just something that I found while researching this, here it is. So if you ever needed proof that Google is just will manipulate something to get you to click on it, and that confirmation bias is a thing, and is facilitated through Google and other search engines because they know all. This is what I searched to find the Rikers case. I didn't know what jail it had happened in, but I had heard that it had happened. Or I didn't remember, yeah, whatever. But this is what I searched right here. This is what pops up first, is the brief information. But what I want to talk about is this here, okay? So I did not, this link right here, Virginia judge, yeah, I'm in Virginia, and I think this popped up with this title because Google knows I'm in Virginia, and then the description is about Isla Bryson, which is completely separate to this on the link here. And if you open this up, this is actually a PDF. I didn't realize that it was a PDF until I clicked on it. And when you click on it, you get this. This is a letter from the Utah Gay Straight Coalition to somebody named Amanda Gilbert, saying that somebody named Sue Robbins of Equality Utah made false statements. And the bold part is the false statement here. The first thing under the letter is that the article that was the title of the link in the Google result, right? Just for context, this is 8 pages of what you are seeing on the screen. Okay, and the Rikers case is in here, and so is the, what's her name, Isla Bryson case. Okay, and they're in completely separate parts, and it's a PDF, so these pages are basically images, and I know that Google can read PDFs and things like that. I just think it's very manipulative that this is the way that this search result showed up on Google. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, that's my conspiracy theory for the video. Maybe we'll make it a regular thing. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked, leave a like, subscribe. If you have something to say, please leave a comment. I read all of them and I love reading them. So thank you.